Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video for all of you talking about how sensorimotor recovery feels, what my days look like now compared to what they look like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, how life is basically a constant improvement of efficiency, how to be more proficient, how to work on humility, how to work on communication skills, how to wear discomfort and everything else in between, and why it took me so long to get comfortable with that worst case scenario, which is if I notice these sensations for the remainder of my life is ruined. There's nothing worse than these sensations. I have Daisy next to me, so she'll be joining us for the video today. I'll show her at the end, and why the little annoyances in life that we all go through, even after you're recovered, moving, changing of time zones, like what happened to us this week. America goes back on this time zone change on the 10th of March, but the rest of the world goes back on the 31st, and all the little annoyances that happen throughout life, things going wrong, and those all correlate very much to sensorimotor and hyper-awareness recovery, because if you're not going to be able to work on your worst case scenario with, say, your saliva or your pelvic floor muscles or your eyelid or your lips, all the other sensations of disturbance, once you do recover, will become extra annoying again, because it's not just sensorimotor as the big five: blinking, breathing, swallowing, saliva, your heartbeat. It's any hyper-awareness whatsoever. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this video, and then we could talk about what it feels like. I'm just specifically in this video going to talk about what my day feels like on a day-to-day basis today. So when I woke up, in the beginning of the recovery journey for a very long time, the first thing I thought about was my saliva or swallowing, or the globus sensation in my throat, or my thumbs, or my belt line, or my anxiety, hyper-awareness. And then that would follow me throughout the rest of the day. And I would build this kind of waxing and waning, don't do this, do that, avoid this, don't avoid that, do that compulsion, vent there, tell everyone how you're feeling, etc., etc. And then that just kept me stuck in that loop forever. Even though I had read all the books on the reading list, even though I was going back to work, I still was quite stuck, because I didn't actually accept my worst case scenario, which was if I notice these sensations for the remainder of my life is ruined, which is one of the main drivers of all hyper-awareness and sensorimotor cycles. You're not going to be able to trick your way into it. You could tell very easily who understands sensorimotor and who doesn't. I can really name about 3 people on my fingers, and they all work for OCD recovery: me, Rob, and Paul Little. Don't get me wrong, Sam and Moman, they get that, but from the perspective of me, Paul, and Rob had very, very severe sensorimotor, and then came out the other side of that on all hyper-awareness. You know, you hear all sorts of stuff where people say, well, welcome your breathing in and liking it. Well, acceptance doesn't mean agreement, so that's nonsense, and that's not going to work. You're not going to be able to just lightly tell yourself you accept your breathing sensations when you feel like you're choking to death all day, or the globus sensation like you're swallowing a fucking softball is just all day long. It's very difficult to understand and relay that to sufferers when you've never experienced that. Now, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but it did teach me a lot about life and what's important in life, etc. So I am grateful for the learning lessons that came about through my recovery process, and still applying to my life today, which I will for the remainder of my life. Because as I always say, that great quote that says, education is never finished. Recovery is never finished. Even when you're no longer chronically suffering, you're still progressing and moving forward as a human, because we do have a mental health disorder, so it could go backwards at any point for whatever reason, which is where fear comes in. So when I wake up today, there's no thought. It's been 2 to 3 years since I've had any sort of intrusive thoughts, images, or fear based around sensorimotor. That doesn't mean it's tried to latch at times. When it tries to latch, I just realize that, first of all, there's no self-reassurance. I don't go, oh, you've been here before. Come on, Nick, you can do this. That's a mistake. It just does whatever it does. And I have a baseline level of unconditional life acceptance, where I'm assuming in time, with just the way the world works and more discomfort in my life and just temperature changes and hiking and knee problems that happen and back injuries from lifting, you have many opportunities to practice this. And this goes into all the pain sensations: disc herniation, neck herniation, complex regional pain syndrome, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. The principles that I use to recover from this go to all of that. Even if there is something neurologically, biologically wrong, like there's a structural abnormality, it's not just coming from a belief system. And don't get me wrong, there's a structural abnormality with chronic OCD, because the main fueler of chronic OCD is irrational beliefs. So if it was just biological in origin, there's more of a genetic component to that. The chronic case, most people have very, very rigid beliefs. So everyone would have chronic OCD. So you can kind of debunk that pretty quickly. And I just had to realize that even though I was stuck like this, it wasn't as horrible as I thought. Sure, I missed out on many things. Sure, the anxiety stopped me from building muscle in certain ways because I had the body dysmorphia with it. And that was a big fear of mine, having so much anxiety through my body. I'm not going to get all the gains. And that's why we have so many things on social media about optimizing sleep and optimizing recovery. That's all got to go. No more tracking recovery, no apps, no Apple Watches, no any of that stuff. That's not that you can't wear an Apple Watch, but all those things that you're tracking for sleep, optimization, get rid of the word optimal. That word doesn't even need to be in your vocabulary. It's such a problematic word because it's used so incorrectly. There's no such thing as optimal. There's no such thing as your best self. The self is ever improving. There's no such thing as good and bad people. There's only people that commit things for a multitude of different reasons. There's no such thing as evil. Evil doesn't exist in the way that we think it does, in our opinion. You can't substantiate evil because what you consider evil was something else. You have two people with two different beliefs or the same belief. Let's say you have someone with a political belief. Someone holds this kind of loosely and this person is very radical and this person blows up a building. It's the same belief, but one of them just holds it a little bit more radical. It's the same thing. I don't like noticing sensations. She's such a brat. It brings me away from many things in my life, but I just don't hate it anymore. And that's what took for my cycle to lift. So you can get to where I am today. It's like I never had it. That doesn't mean it doesn't try to latch every once in a while. If I was tired, a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, maybe a couple times a year. But I don't even have an awareness of that because I'm not scared of being stuck. So there is hope. You don't have to maintain it. I always say OCD recovery doesn't require maintenance mantras, and you can get to where I am today, a baseline level of peace. No chronic anxiety, no chronic shame or guilt, which wasn't big parts of my journey, but I've had it at time to time. And I mean, it's just crazy to even think about how stuck I really was. I mean, as we all know, we all think that, right? When you get better, you're like, how in the shit? But as Rob said in that video he just posted, well, this will come out in a couple days, but I think it came out today. So it's the 13th of March about, what OCD recovery feels like and then different insights about OCD recovery that, once you're feeling good, it's easy to be like, I'm never going to feel bad again. But that's also where fear comes in. So thank you again for watching. Let me know what you think. Please comment down below. Thank you for all the support. I hope our videos have been so helpful. Remember, webinars, 8:30 p.m. UK time on Tuesdays. I will not be making videos starting on, the 13th? On March 16th to the 25th, I'll be traveling. So I might make a couple videos of them traveling, but more than likely not. I'm going back to Ultra in Miami. Yes, I'm still wearing the wristband from next year. I told Erica I'm going to wear this wristband and a new one, and she's like, I will divorce you. You are a 34-year-old man. You are not 12 years old. And I was like, I am 12. All right, in here. So I'm going to act like a child. I'm just going to line up wristbands forever. And we'll see what happens because it's important. Don't let OCD stop you. Sensory goes way beyond Sensorimotor. Go to the music festivals. Go to the cinemas. Go hang out. Go exercise. Go on dates. Live your life. Walk your dogs. Try new foods. OCD is not going anywhere. It's not waiting for you. So thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day.